Janet from another planet? Is 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 Janet from another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, I had my mic up. I do it every time. Seems like
I was saying, oh my God, I screwed up again.
Thank you for joining us tonight for the shit show. It always starts out as shit. But thank you for joining me tonight, Ruben. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Tired.
Well, yeah, everybody seems to be really tired lately for some reason because everybody's so busy, with so much stuff going on. But
yeah.
We've got a lot of shit going down, but I wanted to open up with this sheriff that's just, it seems like more and more people in local government, sheriffs, deputies, mayors, in the lower tiers of government are getting sick and tired of the media. The charade that they basically pull every time you turn around. So I wanted to start out with this because it makes me realize that, they feel the same way we do, is they have to put up with the same shit. This is a sheriff in Marion County, Florida. His name is Billy Woods. And I want to play his reaction to this retard in the crowd that's in the media corps. Here we go. Let me start it over again.
For the Attorney General and Colonel Howes, we're able to ask a couple off-topic questions, specifically about the wrongful arrest of Lindsay Isaacs in Volusia County. I understand that she and her criminal attorney met with your office, Mr. Uffmeyer, just a couple days ago. How did that meeting go? And do you think that Lindsay Isaacs deserves an apology? And what's the status of those two FHP troopers that are named in the civil lawsuit?
All right, so you just pissed me off. Now, I'll let him decide if he's going to answer your question. But all this shit, you want to ask him about some other case? We're talking about children. Now, if you're getting that from one of your people that typically is behind the phones that y'all have, wants you to ask that question, tell them to have the gonads to come here and ask me that question. That is what you need to be focused on.
To be fair, we did ask about that. And
it doesn't make a difference. I'm not here to talk about what FHP did. I'm here to talk about what they did, nothing else. Let's get that abundantly clear because it happens. It happens to this poor man all the time. You want to go off on a tangent. This press conference is solely for those pieces of shit that are right there. Are we clear?
I think it's awesome, and I wish more people would voice their opinion. It's time for us to start holding the media's feet to the fire. If you have a press conference and there's been a bad accident, a shooting, a child abduction, or whatever else, that's what they should be there for, period. Nothing else. And after they're finished and it's all the stuff's going down and people are walking back to their cars and you want to ask them a question about something else, great. That's your job. But when you're there for a certain thing like that, you should shut the hell up and listen to what they have to say and ask questions pertaining to the press conference. So it just made me feel good to see him standing up for what he believes in and not being afraid that he's going to be ostracized because he reacted the way he did. So I just wanted to share that because it's nice. It's nice.
I realized that your Chiron is wrong.
Do what?
Your Chiron is wrong.
It is. What does it say?
RINOS Galore?
I don't know what happened with that. I've had two different things that changed the letters after it started. It's supposed to be RINOS. So let me fix that. I'm sorry. I had to put, earlier it said Sid Show, even though I know I did it. And when I first did it, it was fine. And then when I went back, it was messed up. It's just weird. I've been having 4 or 5 things like that's happened in the last couple of days. It's always with technical, little things like that. So I got to take this down and fix it. But what have you had going on?
Oh, nothing. Just, another week, just waiting.
Well, when is her service? Is it next week?
July 25th.
Okay.
In Minnesota.
July. Oh, I was thinking it was in this month.
No. It's I'm glad it's a long way away, so I have time.
Okay. Well, I fixed it, I think. So
there we go.
That's ridiculous. But thank you for telling me, because I've been so busy with other stuff I didn't even notice it. But I just wanted to share that thing with the with the sheriff, because there's just so many things like that just seems like every time I turn around it's something else. But I don't get to see all of them, but it was nice.
I'm laughing when she says, "Hello, Jackie." It's funny. I like that.
So
I got a video. I got a funny video about that. Hello, Jackie. You seen that? It's a meme. It's a video. You've never seen it. There's like some British guy says, "Hello, Jackie. You're looking nice today." You've never seen this?
I don't think so. You need to send it to in the shit show chat. Nobody can see it.
I gotta find it.
But
continue. While I'm looking for it.
But I was gonna say hi to everybody really quick once I bring up this thing. I think it's number 6 right here. Yeah, this is the one I'm gonna bring up. But I'm gonna pause it and then I'm gonna say hi to everybody. It's not letting me pause it. Why is it doing it? See, it's glitching. See, it's not letting me. It's not letting me pause. Okay, I'll just let it play and then I'll finish it. Okay, I'm going to put the sound down, but this is from the president invited all the crew that worked on the reflecting pool. He invited them to the Oval Office and he handed out presidential coins and signed hats for everyone. I think that's awesome that he did that to make all these people feel special for what they did and having pride in the capital of our country, basically, and making it look beautiful so that tourists will want to come and find out more about our country and our founding fathers and, the history behind where we came from. And I just think that's wonderful. But for whatever reason, it would not let me pause it. It wouldn't let me, I don't know. Hopefully the whole show isn't going to be like that. But I wanted to say hi to everybody that's in the chat. So go all the way up and see. Okay, yeah, Jackie was in here. She said, good luck. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't know if she's still here now because I know she works. But hi, Shadow. Thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate it. I said that earlier in the chat, but hello, Screaming Raven. Appreciate you being here. And let's see, there's Baby Girl. She's in here a lot too. I don't see her every time. I try to, but yeah, I know. I thank you for telling me I was muted, but it takes me forever to do anything. Yeah, you're shocked about the media. They're ridiculous. It's like, they just don't care about anybody. They just care about, whatever it is that they're there for. And why would he go to that press conference to ask a question about a totally different, thing? To me, I guess I just don't know enough about that stuff, but I think it's funny. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It is a shit show, but life is basically a shit show. It seems like lately for all of us. I know. I saw
when I said hello, Jackie. I put it in the private chat. It was funny.
Okay, I'll have to look at it.
It means nothing theoretically to you or to anybody else, but it's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's so hello, Tree Rock. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. And thank you, Lloyd Christmas. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. So without you, wouldn't have anybody in the chat. It would be kind of boring, wouldn't it? But this next thing I want to share is, as I always try to share a couple of good things. Let me see if this is it or not. Yeah, it's one of them. It's going to keep talking. It's not going to pause. Makes me so angry. Oh, okay. Well, give me a second. I got to share it.
As long as you don't kick yourself out again.
Well, that's what I'm trying not to do. It's like I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Everything is always messed up. So here we go. I'm bringing it up. Okay. Now, hold on. Give me 1 second. I think I can do it right. Okay. Basically, this is Trump, and he's talking about how upset he is about them not, our Congress not doing their job, basically. And, when is enough? And how long should we wait? And what is there anything that we can do to get them to do the SAVE Act, that type of stuff. And it's the president, and he's very frustrated about the whole thing, and everybody's blaming him for it. But we have rules and regulations that we have to follow because we do have a constitution, a federal constitution. The president is not a king, and he can't push his weight around and just do whatever he wants. So that's why I wanted to play this. I wanted to listen to what the president has to say.
If I thought that they weren't going to pass the filibuster, I wouldn't even bring it up. They're going to pass it within the first hour. If they take power,
Talking about the Democrats.
It's more likely that they take power if we don't do it, because we're not going to be passing any legislation. Not going to approve anything. We're going to go 3.25 years. There won't be one bill that we're going to pass, because the easiest thing to pass is exactly right now what they won't pass. And they'll do that, and they'll wreak havoc. But let's assume they get in. They're doing it anyway, so it wouldn't matter. They're doing it anyway. And, I have a case where I have great U.S. attorneys that can't be approved because of the blue slips. The blue slips, I think you should terminate blue slips too. It's a mental termination because it's really a custom. But if you have a Democrat senator or two is bad, but it doesn't make any difference. If you have one senator writes a negative letter on some great U.S. attorney, we had it in Manhattan, Southern District, Jay Clayton, one of the most respected lawyers in the whole country, by far, one of the most respected. And couldn't get approved. The courts approved him. The courts couldn't believe it. They did it like instantly. He went to the best schools, got the best marks, top of his class. Everything was perfect. I mean, he was led the perfect life. Went to Sullivan and Cromwell.
I just wanted you guys to hear that, because you hardly get to hear the president when he's frustrated and he's trying to voice his opinion about, hey, and the thing is that I think he's one of the only, I'm going to share this next one about him not being able to have recess appointments like so many others were able to do. So hold on, let me pull that up. think it's number 11. Darn it. I just get a blue screen instead of the picture, so I know what I'm pulling up. I keep getting a blue screen. So hopefully I pull up the right thing. We'll see. Okay, it is. Thank goodness. All right. So basically, if you can see what I'm looking at, it says, for the first time in modern history, the president of the United States is blocked from making any recess appointments by his own party. That's what's so crappy. That's why I know it isn't. They're not Republicans. These people are RINOs, all of them. Ronald Reagan had 240. George W. Bush had 77. Bill Clinton had 139. George W. Bush, the other George W. Bush, had 171. Barack Obama had 32. And Donald Trump so far has had 0. 0. So I want to play this so you can listen to this, but it's just ridiculous. Here we go.
For example, on the Health Committee, you have Senator Collins, Senator Murkowski. They've already raised concerns about RFK Jr. I think when you have Matt Gaetz, there's already some Republicans who have spoken out and said some things. The numbers start to get problematic if that is a problem, and your onus for you is to try to get the president who he wants to be in the cabinet. Do you then punt to a recess and try to recess the Senate for 10 days and get those appointments in?
Well, it's an option, but obviously it takes, you have to have all Republicans vote to recess as well. So the same Republicans that you mentioned that might have a problem voting for somebody under regular order probably also have a problem voting to put the Senate into recess. You have to have concurrence from the House. There's a process. All this is a process. But I don't think any of those things are necessarily off the table. I think we have to have all the options on the table. And these nominees deserve their day in court. They deserve a hearing, a confirmation hearing, an opportunity to be vetted, and the Senate will perform its constitutional role under advice and consent. But we are not going to allow the Democrats to thwart the will of the American people in giving President Trump the people that he wants in those positions to implement his agenda.
When it comes to
what's sad about it is the fact that they aren't doing anything. And every time they have gone on recess, what do? They send somebody in and hit the gavel each day so Trump can't appoint anyone. And everyone's bitching and moaning. When are they going to prosecute people? When are they going to prosecute people? When are they going to prosecute people? Well, they can't if you don't have any judges.
Yeah, but you got to remember the whole idea of the RINO, that is it's not the correct term. That's uniparty people. It's not, they're not Republican, or I should say they are Republican. It's just a question of the next with
an R next to their name. That's why they ran with an R next to their name.
But Democrats.
Okay. Yeah, but they act like they're a Democrat. They're siding with the Democrats and not letting our president get the people in to prosecute the people.
Yeah.
That all this fraud, all these things that we're having come in, we're not able to prosecute them because we don't have the judges we need. As you've seen what happens when you put a person that has a list this long, of crimes, and they get a slap on the wrist because they get some lame ass piece of shit judge. And once they've gone to court and they get let off, you can't try them again for those crimes. See? And what are we going to do? Put all these people that made all this fraud and all this stuff out and just say, oh, well, we got a bad judge. That's nothing we can do about it. Well, they're all bad. Most of them are bad. And Trump has some he wants to put in there, but he can't get we have both houses and we can't do shit. They're not doing anything, but that's all Trump's fault. But we have a constitution. We have to follow the letter of the law because
it's not Trump's fault.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not Trump's fault. It isn't Trump's fault that he's trying to follow the rules and do it the right way because he's not a king. He's not going to just say, send out the troops and gather them up and chop their heads off or some stupid shit like that, which is what I hear a lot of dumbasses saying they want us to do. Just gather them up and put them in wood chippers. I'm like, well, that could be you, dumbass. If the other people are in office, they could go to your house and grab you and put you in a wood chipper. That's how stupid you sound when you say stuff like that. Even if you say that you're for Trump and you want this, that, and the other, It doesn't matter. You gotta follow the rules. The thing is, why we can't get these people to do their jobs? It's driving me nuts. And most people call them rhinos because they ran as a Republican. That's why. And when they run as a Republican, but they act like they're independent or a libertarian or a Democrat, they're a rhino. They're someone who is not. They pretend to be something they weren't to get into office. They rode on Trump's coattails saying that they're America first, but since they've been in there, they haven't done shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what I was trying to, bring up, because I think it's ridiculous. But I'm doing most of that stuff to do with Thune first, because all of it, kind of goes together. But here's the next one that I want to pull up real quick with him. I'm pretty sure this is the right one because I can't see what it is. For some reason, the screen goes blue. It goes blue. There's no, this isn't it either. Damn it. This is the wrong one. So let me take that one down. There's a little screen that pops up. It's supposed to show you what you can pull up. But every time I pull it up, it's just a blue screen. There's nothing there.
That's weird.
So I tried to keep it in order and look at the number, but I might have 2 9s, 20, 5 9s. And if they're all 9, because they're from the same area that I grabbed these other ones from, it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, you guys. I wish I had a producer or something, or if I was, making money, I could hire someone. But I don't have that. So just give me 1 second. Let me find this other one. I thought I had them all in order, but they're not working. Maybe this one's it. Hold on.
I gotta have it with me.
Shocking portrayal. There it is. Maybe. Yeah, here it is. I think I got the right one this time. Sorry, you guys. Okay. So this is another one. It says Tim Burchett just grilled Senate Leader John Thune on why has the bill to stop the U.S. taxpayer dollars from funding the Taliban been sitting for nearly 11 months with zero action. This kind of stuff is just ridiculous, but I want to play this so you can hear it. So see, we do have Republicans that are trying to get shit done, but basically when you have this kind of person sitting on their hands and stopping anybody from being able to follow through, and you have to follow certain procedures to get that person out, it's just like what you're seeing right now going on in California. They're just do it right in front of you. They don't give a shit, because there's nothing going to happen to them. And that's the sad truth. And the president can't do anything about that either. That's all these people that we voted from each state into office. That's why it's important that you get the right people in office in your states also to help the president with the agenda that we put him in office for. That's why it's more important. It's so important to vote for every election in your state, not just for presidential, because if he's got a bunch of shitheads, it's not going to help the president, no matter how much we want the president to win. And he can't do it all with executive orders, because as soon as the next person gets in, all they do is get rid of the executive orders. We need them to put it in permanently on a lot of these things, and we can't without these people doing their job. Here we go.
Leader Thune, the House passed Tim Burchett's bill to defund the Taliban. I think it was 11 months ago. Every week that goes by, they get another $40 million. When can the American people expect to see a vote on this, and do you expect it to pass?
I don't know when. We don't have that currently on the schedule here. And you said it's passed in the House?
Yes.
Okay. I have not seen it. If it's come over from the House, that's not something that we consider putting on the floor at this point.
Leader Thune, the House passed.
See, he says he hasn't even seen it. It's been 11 months since they passed it. It's ridiculous. I mean, how are we supposed to get anything achieved when we don't even have someone in office that's in this position that even knows what the hell's going on behind the scenes? He either has some really bad aides. He just doesn't give a shit. He's not spending enough time there to make sure he's finding what he needs? I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but you have some reporters that are there asking legitimate questions. She's from Lindell TV, and he probably won't take any more questions from her in the future because she made him look like a dumbass, basically. And she knows more about his job than he does about his own job. So it's pretty sad and pathetic, but that's basically where we're at when it comes to these people passing things and getting things done. The president can only send it to them and recommend that they do stuff. If they don't do anything, then nothing's going to happen. And he can't sign it unless they pass it, So, basically we're just stuck with in limbo until we can get them off their ass to get some stuff to his desk, because he can't do everything by an executive order. He just can't. It's impossible. That's not how our country was set up to be run. And, it's just sad because I hear people say, he thinks he's the king. And I'm like, well, what choice does he have right now? He doesn't have a choice. But I wanted to bring this up because a lot of people are talking about how Trump's heads up the Jews' ass and all this shit constantly. I hear stupid shit like that. And all this kind of stuff, they bashing the Jews. And I'm like, you're a Christian and Jesus was a Jew, right? I mean, it's just pathetic that some of the things that these people say, and it makes me sick to my stomach. But this whole thing that he's talking about, that they're about to talk about, it says reports allegedly that Israel was caught spying on the Pentagon and a top U.S. negotiator are drawing renewed attention, with the Vice President J.D. Vance weighing in on the controversy. So unless you happen to be wherever when it comes on, you're going to miss a lot of this stuff. You're not even going to know that this was even talked about because a lot of people just see, all they see is this little blip that shows Trump, standing with Israel person or whatever, and they automatically, have to, we're only bombing them because of this, we're only bombing them because of that, and it has all to do with Jews. It's not because it's making us safer. It's not because he's helping our country, that kind of stuff, which is ridiculous. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this and play this for you so you can hear it.
So how concerned are you about Israel spying on the United States and freelancing in Lebanon?
Well, look, I think obviously the Israelis and the United States, we have a lot of shared interests, but we also have some situations where our interests diverge. And I think where the president has been very clear here is that while Israel obviously has some objectives that it has, the United States' main objective in Iran is to ensure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And we've actually, thanks to what's happened over the last few months, but really over the last year and a half, we've created the space necessary where the president believes, and I think that he's right, that we can get the long-term settlement to Iran's nuclear deal. Now, Israel may like that, they may not like that, but fundamentally, we think this is in the best interest of the United States of America. So we're going to keep on pursuing it because that's what the president of the United States was elected to do. That's what we have to do in order to properly serve the American people.
Do you think the Iranians are trying to play us at the negotiating table?
Well, I think, Jesse, everybody's always trying to play everybody. I think the president's attitude on this is we have to verify, of course. One of the most important things to whether this ultimate settlement is a success is not what the Iranians write on the paper, but whether they actually comply with some of the requirements of the settlement that we come up to. I think it's very important, and this is one of the big differences. You always hear people talk about the Obama deal and what went wrong with it. The number one thing that went wrong with the Obama deal, Jesse, is that there was not a proper inspections regime to ensure that the Iranians could never build a nuclear weapon. And that's one of the big differences between what happened then and what the president of the United States would get to, assuming we're ultimately able to make a deal. So I don't assume that anybody's acting in good faith. Obviously, we've been very involved in these negotiations, Jesse. we're going to take the attitude of accomplish the president's mission, but verify over the long term that the Iranians are keeping their end of the bargain. It's a tall order, but it's one that the president has put us in a good position to achieve, because let's be honest, Jesse, the Iranians don't want this war to continue. It's not in their best interest. And I think they're coming to the table, putting some real things on the table. We're, of course, going to verify it. But if we get to this deal, it's going to be a home run win for the American people.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree with him. During all the other rigmarole that I remember from different administrations, every time we would send some inspectors in and different things like that, and they would turn them away, and they would say, well, we're gonna, dad, you better listen to us. We gotta, they never did anything. They never put their foot down. They never forced our hand to get them to get rid of the uranium and all the different things. And if you listen to his Trump's live speech today that he gave, and I think I have some updates on what he was saying here in a little bit. He was talking about how with all the drones and the missiles and everything that they've been shooting, that they've gotten a bunch of stuff from China and everything they need to make more from China, and that he feels that they were building up all these missiles. When you start counting all the stuff that they've been able to find and then try to take out by blowing up different buildings in different areas, knowing where they have a bunch of weapons, because they can see it apparently and know where it is, and they have bomb sniffers or uranium sniffers, different things to detect different chemicals and stuff that are used in weapons, that they were hoarding a bunch of stuff because they were going to go to war with someone, or they were going to attack their other countries around them. That's what Trump says he thinks was one of the things that they were wanting to do. And as far as I know, I think they've come to the table and signed some documents, because at the end of the show, I'm going to show a list of the things that from the documents they signed, saying they're going to comply with everything that Trump has been saying. And it's a whole list showing of all the different things that they are going to give up. So I'm going to share that. So I got to pull that up. So just give me 1 second so you can see it. I think it's, no, that's not it. That's the one I pulled up earlier, and now it's moved. Okay. I think it's these two. I'm going to try this one. I think this is the one. Yeah. Okay. These are the two that have to do with what he just did. I'm sorry about if you guys can hear my dog barking in the background. I don't know what she's barking at, but my daughter's not here. So there's nothing I can do about it. And I can't put her outside by herself. She's a little white Bouchon, and she'll just get eaten by a coyote or something, or a bear or whatever. So I can't put her outside. So I'm sorry if you hear the dog barking. But normally she doesn't do that because she has somebody in there with her. But it says here, President Trump says Iran war is settled. Signing may take peace in Europe to make it official. And then it says, the big day, I know you'll never be satisfied, but this is okay. It doesn't bother me at all, basically. But I'm going to play this, what Trump is saying with these people around him. So here we go.
I know you'll never be satisfied, but that's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means if the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up. Oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before. I said I was in Iowa. It was $1.85 a gallon a day. Okay, so he's talking about how they just signed something with Iran, and he says that they're pretty much getting to get to where he wanted it to be, to when he started the whole thing. So I'm going to share the next thing, which shows what they supposedly agreed to from the stuff that I could find after they
supposedly signed the documents together. Okay, this is what I found right here. It says Iran just published the exact list of terms they will accept to end the war, not vague signals. We're open to talks, named commitments, specific numbers, point by point. It says nuclear. Iran commits to never acquire a nuclear weapon. It says downbending of highly enriched uranium under UN inspectors, which I don't like that. That's what happened last time, remember? Full reaffirmation of non-proliferation treaty obligations. And then it says blockade. U.S. removes naval blockade within 30 days, as long as they're complying and they don't do anything to break that. And it says U.S. withdraws forces positioned around Iran. U.S. commits to non-interference in Iran's internal affairs. The straits reopen within 30 days with no tolls. Immediate permanent ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon. 24 billion in frozen assets released during the 60-day negotiation window. Sanctions on oil and petrochemicals suspended with full revenue access. Reconstruction. It says U.S. and allies submit plans worth at least 300 billion. I guess for them to rebuild because they pretty much lost a lot of shit. Iran's missile program excluded from negotiations entirely, which means they're not allowed to do any, I guess that's what that means. Support for resistance groups off the table for proxies. And a final agreement requires UN Security Council resolution. I just don't like the UN stuff. Anything with the UN, it's like, but we got to remember, we aren't the only ones in charge. So I understand that. It doesn't mean I like it. I'm just saying I understand why they have to have the UN, because I think all the other countries that are involved are in the UN. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to copy this link and put it in the chat for anybody who wants to go and read it or copy it or go look up the different things that are on this list, because I think it's important. Because, I mean, just look over there, the chaos that's constantly going on. And now you have, you've had peace. You've had ships being able to go back and forth to different countries and unload stuff without being pirated, basically, or forced to pay them money or whatever it is that they want, or part of their ship's contents or whatever, to Iran, because they're a bunch of bullies and they just, take what they want. So when you push a bully around, they don't like it. And I think this is great. And I know that the other countries do. Now, there may be a few countries that are too chicken shit to admit that they're glad that they can go through this strait without being accosted by Iran's ships or whatever. But they won't say anything, because if they do, it's going to piss off a bunch of Muslims and they feel like they'll be a target. I can understand that. I mean, just think about it. You can't even get on a bus or go for a walk or anything without being worried about being attacked or blown up. You know what I mean? We don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like, but I've seen a lot of it on TV and on videos and things like that. And it must be really scary to live like that. It's just like living in a really dangerous neighborhood in a city in our country. Being afraid to go get in your car and go to the grocery store, or even take your kids to the park. So the park you never use. The only thing that's at the park are drug addicts and prostitutes, because people are afraid to go to anything. You don't feel like you have safety or any way to defend yourself. So you just don't go. But guess what? You still pay taxes out of your checks every month to pay for those parks and streets and whatever else, but you can't even enjoy it because you're in fear of your life or someone in your family. So I can understand how some of those people that live in that area along the strait are happy that they're able to conduct business. And when if it goes back to the way it was, they'll miss it, because they've had it for a certain amount of time simply because we've been there saying, no, this ain't going to happen. Nope, you can't do that. You can't do this. Stopping them and then removing mines, and all kinds of stuff that they've done to try to make it safer. Just like if you take people from a country like China that, don't have hardly nothing. And like some of the soldiers that have tried to run over the border from North Korea down to South Korea. And when they got them there and they tried to, give them physicals, they had worms, they had all kinds of horrible health problems because they're not eating. They don't eat, they don't have proper medicine, they don't have, half the stuff that we're used to. But when you take a person that's been living in North Korea for a while and you get to take them somewhere where it's free, where they can go to the grocery store and they walk into these places and see milk and cheese and meat and stuff, they just freak out. I've watched a couple of videos and they just they can't believe that that's why they think that we're so privileged people, especially like people from America and in Europe that can just go to the grocery store and buy stuff when they need it. They don't have to stand in line to get bread, stuff like that. So, we take it for granted, but these other countries don't have these things. They don't have the luxuries that we seem to have. Even the poorest of us have things that these people that are, pretty wealthy or have means in some of these countries barely have. Well, our poorest people might have. So we just don't, it's hard for us to understand these people getting a taste of having it where you can get on your boat and take your wares, your fish or whatever, down farther and sell to another country and make a profit to take back to your country so that you can buy or capture more fish and then do the same thing without being attacked and having to give up half of your product because you don't want to die, by a country that is a bully. They feels like they can do whatever they want. So I don't know. I'm excited about seeing the outcome of this and seeing how it changes, not just for us where we feel safer that they don't have nuclear weapons, but the fact to see just these people being able to go up and down where they should and to have commerce with other countries without being in fear of being killed or they're having their ships taken away from them because they're just trying to, make money for their country. So I don't know. I'm hoping that it end up being good and it will turn out great for a lot of people, but we'll see, right? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
You think we're going to see a difference if we can?
I have no idea. This has been going on for thousands of years. It's crazy.
Yeah, but we've never had.
But it is fun. What?
We've never had this happen.
Well, you never know.
Stop them from being able to harass people and remove bombs and stop them from being able to loot ships and, have somebody intervene and stop a country from being able to do that.
Right. But again, there's so many players in this, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm hoping, I'm still trying to be, have some hopium or whatever you want to call it, because people think, I'm such a, have nothing but bad news all the time. But this was something I thought was interesting. So let me do it. I don't know if very many of you know who, somebody posted, when's the last time you heard Mike Johnson talk like this? So they're making fun of him. Mike Johnson, when it said Brandon Gill is a rising star in the future of this party. So I don't know, but I think he's pretty good. I've compared him to him and certain other characters, making him look like characters in the Superman movie or something. But here we go. I'll let you hear what he has to say on this.
For 4 years, Democrats in the House and President Biden inundated relentlessly our communities with over 15 million illegal aliens who are murdering, raping, torturing, and pillaging our people. And they did it as part of a cynical ploy to structurally rig our elections by importing a new electorate, millions of people that they believed would be future Democrat voters in perpetuity. We have got to end this, and President Trump is ending it right now. And we cannot allow Democrats to unleash the same kind of hell on our people that they did over the past 4 years. We've got to codify President Trump's border protection policies into law. I've got a Remain in Mexico bill that does just that. In his first term, President Trump's Remain in Mexico Act reduced border apprehensions by 70%. It was one of his most effective policies. We've got over 100 co-sponsors on this bill, including 2 Democrats, by the way, who have found religion suddenly. We've got to get this signed into law. We've got to get it to the House floor to support our president and to support the American people.
So we do have people trying to do stuff. They're pushing things. They're getting they're talking to other people. They're getting other people to read it and say, hey, this is a good thing. Will you help us get this passed? But if we can't get it sent to the next place where it needs to go and get the people to vote on it so they can go to the president's desk, it's all for naught. We're not getting things done because we have a few people dragging their feet, just walking around going, oh, I don't want to do this. I can't, for whatever reason, and we won't know what the reason is because they don't tell us anything. We just have to sit around and listen to everybody bitch and moan how it's all Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault. Trump, 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 Trump. Orange man bad, whatever the shit. I just think it's ridiculous because these people don't understand how our government works. And it's sad because apparently, they're not teaching it in school or something. I don't know. It's not, the president isn't a king. He doesn't just sit there and write anything down and all of a sudden it's a law and you have to do it. You can be arrested for it. That's why we're one of the strongest countries in the world and one of the youngest ones, simply because we have a constitution. And because a bunch of people came together and said that we don't want to be run like it was when we were under a monarchy, and we want the freedom of the people. And they did a damn good job. We just got to have people in office that follow what they say when they run for office. They're going to do it and follow through with it. But until we force them as the people, because we are the ones that have the right, we are the militia. If you think about it, we're the ones with all the guns. Lots of us have multiple guns. We're the ones that are going to have to stand up and fight our government if they try to push us down or take us over. And I think that's what they meant, is us, the people, are the militia, the ones that are going to fight the government if the government tries to take over the country and force us against our will to do things that are against the Constitution. That's why the Constitution is so important and why we have to follow the laws. And it just sucks because you do get people in there and they sit on the fence and they taunt both sides saying, well, to see what they can get. And I think that's ridiculous. I think that gifts and stuff like that should not be legal when you're in office. Being able to bribe people to do this, that, and the other by giving them money or whatever it is. And I think that this should be very strict on how much money a person makes while they're in office. And you can hold that against them. If they go in the office and they're worth $1 million, but when they come out, they're worth 100 million. I think that something needs to be looked at. You know what I mean? That's common sense. At least I think it is. But, I'm just one person. I can't do everything. But this was another thing that came across my timeline that I thought was pretty interesting, because I'm starting to see more and more people from different areas in the government that are talking about this whole thing. It says Barack Obama was using USAID to pretend to send money to a country for aid and instead laundered it into the Cayman Islands. He would then use that money to fund and train Rent a Riot for protests to overthrow governments. Does this sound familiar? This is the gentleman. He's on Joe Rogan. His name is Mike Benz, and he's talking about this whole thing. So I thought it was really important because so many people probably never even heard of it. So
Scandal during the Obama USAID era. Now, we were running a number of rogue USAID operations in Cuba at the time. By the way, I have to say for the record, I'm no fan of the Cuban government. I I'm not even weighing in on whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, in terms of regime change there, or, liberating people there from autocratic excess by that government. I'm simply showing the American people where your tax dollars are going and how these things are structured in order to systematically fool you and to fool Congress and to fool the White House. So, for example, this is, and I'll show a couple other things in a second here, but this is Zunzaneo. So you just scroll for a second, we'll start with this, right? So it was an online social media. Just scroll up 1 second. We'll start at the top here. It was an online social networking microblogging service created by USAID and marketed to Cuban users. This was a Twitter knockoff. See, the background of this is 2009, 2014, that period. The State Department and USAID were gangbusters gung-ho on the promise of Arab Spring style social media revolutions to topple other governments. That the Arab Spring was a Facebook revolution and a Twitter revolution. USAID pumped $1.2 billion in, and we sponsored these activist groups and these civil society organizations to learn how to use Facebook, learn how to use Twitter, learn how to use hashtags, learn how to coordinate street protests so that everyone knows where to go, what street to show up on, what kind of slogans to use in order to create the pro-democracy, predicate for it. But the problem was, at the time, Cuba did not allow U.S. social media in. So they said, so they're not allowing Twitter in. How can we get a Twitter there, but without calling it Twitter, without making it look like it's coming from the U.S.? So what they did is they took the exact same thing as Twitter, same user interface, same like and retweet button. Zunzaneo is the Cuban slang word for hummingbird. So it means it's bird. It was the Twitter bird, the whole thing. But the whole trick about it was you have to make it look like it's coming from the Cubans if you're going to do this operation. So what you'll see is it began running. So this is 2010. This is right, during the Arab Spring. And what you'll see is they took funds, millions of dollars of funds that were concealed as humanitarian funds designated for Pakistan. Now, I don't know if Joe or the audience, if you've looked at a map lately, but Pakistan is not exactly the next door neighbor of Cuba. Right. So, and this is the Wikipedia whitewashing, and we can get into the deeper layers of this, but contractors funded by USAID, I should note the main contractor was Creative Associates International, who's a frequent one. It's CAI, not CIA, I promise. So they concealed in the budget from Senate, from Congress, from the White House National Security Council. They said that these were humanitarian funds for Pakistan. And then they ran that to their contractor, CAI, to, quote, set up a Byzantine system of front companies using Cayman Islands bank accounts and recruiting unsuspecting business executives who would not be told of the company's ties to the U.S. government, according to the AP. The private companies like Creative Associates International designed the network. The idea arose after they were given 500,000 stolen Cuban cell phones that were available on the black market. And then what you'll see if you scroll down is okay, the network, dubbed the Cuban Twitter, reached about 60,000 Cuban subscribers. The initiative appears to also have had a surveillance dimension, allowing a, quote, vast database of Cuban Zunzaneo subscribers, including gender, age, and receptiveness and political tendencies to be built, with the Associated Press noting such data could be used in the future for political purposes. By the way, these are all quotes from the internal documents, and we can go through that. The data would then be used for micro-targeting efforts towards anti- and pro-government users in Cuba. The developers aimed to, at first, use non-controversial content, such as sports and music, and hurricane updates, by the way. They used hurricane updates in the internal things. Basically a humanitarian front that if you sign up to this app, you'll know about natural disasters in the area. Meanwhile, what was the plan the whole time? Once they built up enough subscribers, they would begin to introduce political messages through social bots and encourage dissent in this astroturfing. There's a great Guardian write-up on this. If you go to.
So I just shared the link for that story in the chat, and it's interesting. And you can, if you take this link and you start looking up more stuff, you can find out more about it. But the thing is that so many people don't even know anything about it. That's what's sad, is the fact that we have news companies that don't share the news. They don't inform you of things because you have a job or you have 3 jobs. Your wife is busy. Maybe she has a job. She's trying to take care of the house. You're trying to take care of your yard. You got all kinds of things going on, and you can't keep up on every detail about things that are important that are going on. So that's why you come home, and when you're having dinner or after dinner, you watch the news to try to get the information about things that are going on in your local communities, in your state, or around the world, or even in the United States, to keep you updated. But when you have a media that doesn't share anything, especially if it's not on their agenda, because they don't want you to know about it, because then you might do something. You might do something to make a change or try to get other people to start making things change. So they just don't want you to know about it. And that's what's scary, is the fact that, like a couple of weeks ago, I shared a video with Ruben. I think Ruben was on the show about the whistleblower from Google, that Voorhees guy, talking about this thing to keep Google from letting you find out about certain things, and to make sure that you only get the answers that they want you to have. And then I showed the video of the CEO of YouTube, who was quashing all kinds of health things that could, that you could have watched about vitamin C and different other vitamins that you could take to help you with COVID or after the COVID vaccination, things like that. And she was taking them down. She was taking your videos down. So, she's not the CEO anymore, and I think she passed away. But I tried to share this stuff because I'd never heard of it. If it hadn't been for someone else, because I'm in this community, I wouldn't even have known myself. So how do you find out things if no one's willing to share it, especially the media? Unless you happen to be watching right at the moment it happens to come on TV. And that's sad. It's sad that we're in a situation in this day and age where we have these giant corporations like Google, Amazon, YouTube. YouTube is part of Google. So, but what I mean is that control what data you're able to even get. And if you try to post something like on TikTok or Facebook, and they don't like it because you might be making people look that way instead of looking over there where the media is wanting you to look, they won't let you post it, or they'll take it down. You see? So, that's why if everybody's wanting you to look over there, then maybe a few people should be looking that way and find out what's going on. Because I hear Ruben say that a lot about looking the opposite direction. But it's up to us to find out about a lot of these things. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Because here is the next thing that I thought was interesting when I found it. Let's see. I think it's this one. So bad. Wish it was better. Yeah, and I really like Stephen Miller. But Stephen Miller, it's not very long. It's only a minute long, but let me pause it and turn it up.
What we found since President Trump came into office is that the Democrats have set up a system to funnel hundreds of billions and ultimately trillions of dollars to migrants that are in our country, oftentimes from places like Somalia. So as an example, ICE recently asked a group of illegal immigrants that were in detention whether or not they were receiving Medicaid. Half of them raised their hands and volunteered that they were on Medicaid, just volunteered that. These aren't the ones who are hiding it, right? They also asked illegal aliens how they paid their medical bills, and they said that if they don't have Medicaid, they go to hospitals, they get free care there, and they bill it to the taxpayers. So they aren't paying for any of their own health care in this country. This is one example. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So under President Trump's leadership, and then of course with JD and the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, we are going to see the first ever effort in American history to reclaim the ultimately trillions of dollars that were stolen from taxpayers. But what we found—
What's sad about that is the SAVE Act, okay, is to try to get these people off of this stuff. And we can't even get the people we voted for in each of our towns and each of our states to go there to vote so that these people don't keep getting handouts. So see, they're not doing it for us. They're thinking about their future voters. And if they take these things away and send them out of the country, they're no longer going to be able to vote for them. So they know we don't want to waste the money that way, because if they're going to take some of that money and help our veterans or help our homeless, or help more people get into mental illness places, things like that, that are Americans already, that's where I'd like to see the money go. And I'm sure most of us would. But they'd rather see, as we're seeing, by them dragging their feet, not appointing the recess or letting the judges that Trump has, and not letting him have a chance to have recess appointments, because they're not putting them in office. And if you don't have the judges in office, how can you take these people and put them through a federal court to charge them with these crimes when we already know it's packed with liberal judges, as we're seeing these people going through the court like nothing, raping, murdering. That guy that stabbed that girl in the throat, I just saw the other day or yesterday that he was found not able to stand trial. Okay. And that's what they do. And they'll put him in a mental place, and then he gets out again. It's ridiculous the way we have this set up. That's why we have got to get these judges out. But you can't put anyone in, because we can't get the people that we voted from our states to go there and do these jobs, because they're not doing it. And unless you get in your state and start hounding your governor and the people in your state to get off their freaking ass and do the job that we put them in there for, that we're going to go to the governor and say, hey, we want these people gone. They're not helping our country. We're running out of time. And that's all they got to do. What? They just got to drag their feet for another year and a half, and it's too late to do anything. See? They know exactly what they're doing. That's what they do. They're good at doing nothing. And we can't just put up with it. We need to force them to do their damn job that we put them in there for. And I don't know how to do that. I mean, I don't know what to do, but all I know is that the more people that know about it and understand that it's not just Trump sitting on his fist, leaning back on his thumb in the White House, that he's trying to do something. He keeps putting this stuff out, saying press conferences and stuff, do this, pass this, so I can sign it. Because if they do all this and they rush around and they get it done, and then they send it to his office, and then he says, well, I can't sign it, then we can say it's fuck Trump. Why is he doing this shit? See, then you can blame him. But until it gets on his desk, there ain't shit he can do. You can't blame him for something. He can't even get it on his desk. So if he does get it on his desk and he says no to us, then I will say the same shit that you guys are saying. But until then, I'm not going to blame Trump for something that he can't do anything about. So
you're right.
We'll have to wait and see, I guess. It's the only choice we have. So, okay, this next one is really good, because what they were just talking about, because I hear a lot of people saying these people that are here from Somalia and all these places, they're not getting anything. They're not getting anything for free. That's exactly what they say. But this is, I think it's the HUD secretary that is trying to get this taken down. So I think this is great. So yeah, I've seen him speak a few times, but I'm going to push pause, turn it up. It says HUD Secretary Scott Turner is formally moving to ban illegal alien families from getting taxpayer housing that could otherwise go to U.S. citizens, which is what they've been doing since they just waltzed in, and we put them in white jogging suits and gave them Visa cards and brand new Nikes and put them on buses and just bust them to different cities, especially the sanctuary cities. And we're just handing over everything, just like you just said. Healthcare, if they're sick, they just go to the doctor and they don't pay anything, but they'll still see them the next time they come in for a runny nose or whatever else. And a poor veteran waits years to get certain things done. So it's just ridiculous that any of these people get this stuff for nothing. But I want to play this for you. So here we go.
Severe problem for Americans who are seeking help and affordable housing. It's a loophole that gives families with illegal immigrants federal housing that could go to U.S. citizens. It doesn't. Secretary Turner says he will close that loophole and free up HUD funding to help American families in need. And according to HUD data, just to give you an example, nearly 200,000 tenants have not proven they qualify for the government assistance that they are getting. And the point that you'll hear the secretary make is they're not even asked to qualify whether or not they're U.S. citizens in this country. They don't have to show anything. They just show up with their relatives and on the sneak and fraud stay in that housing that American citizens should get. And there are some 24,000 illegals, or fraudsters, as I call them, taking up thousands of homes. In focus with me now, Scott Turner, Housing and Urban Development Secretary. Great to see you. So first of all, you're rolling this out. Talk to me about the loophole.
Well, great to be with you here. So this is a new proposed rule from HUD. When you talk about the mixed status loophole, during the Biden administration, tens of millions of illegal aliens came across our borders unchecked, unvetted, and because of that, it put a great strain on our housing market, made the costs go up. American taxpayer dollars are meant to be for American people only. We prioritize under President Trump American people, and so when you have illegals that are living inside of HUD-funded housing, they're taking homes from the American people that actually need them and that are here legally. And so what we did, we put out this new proposed rule to close this loophole down, said, listen, you have to show verification that you are an American citizen if you want to live in HUD-funded housing.
Great. I think it's awesome. But see, it takes a little here, a little there. But everyone that I've seen that Trump's put in to the different positions, to me, it looks like they're doing everything they can. And that's all I can expect from them. They're doing everything they can. They're finding all these loopholes. They're finding all the fraud, and they're trying to close off the spigot. Because as long as the spigot's open, the water is just flowing out, which is money, right? Our money. Money that comes out of yours and my checks to pay for all the things that they're supposed to pay for, that we thought they were paying for. But we're finding out that they weren't. They've been sending it to other countries, routing it back to their own bank accounts and paying their friends with money and buying drugs or whatever else. I don't know for sure. I don't see how anybody could take trillions and trillions of dollars and not be happy. Still, you know, they're never happy. They just want more and more drugs and more. And more. Yeah, whatever. They're doing something. But it's scary to think about it. It's just that it's a never-ending stream of money, and it's all coming from us. And one day, if we can close all these holes, what are we going to do? If we end up, we have a surplus in money after this administration's finished, and they've closed all these things, and they've fired all these people, and they put people in prison, and they finally have people in there that are making sure the money's going where it's supposed to, or if they want to come in and ask for money for certain things, they have to have more checks and balances so that the same people that are handing the money out aren't the same people accepting the money. You see what I mean? That type of bullshit. And if we can fix all that kind of thing, it's like when my mom would say, I would go to my mom and say, Mom, can I get $10? And she'll say, for what? And I'll say, for gas. Well, are you going to pay me back? And I'll say, yes, I'll pay you back when I get paid. And she would say, okay. And she'd take some money out. She'd give it to me. Then when my paycheck came, she would say, where's my $10? Okay. So she would make sure that we paid her back. So we should do the same thing. As the taxpayer, we need to make sure that we're saying, where's that money? What are you doing with that money? I want to see what you did with it. Just like we would have to do every year, right? When the tax people come to us and they say we need something, or we want to see where your receipts are or whatever else. And what happens if we don't give them the stuff they asked for? You and I will go to jail or something. So we need to start doing the exact same thing to all these other people, whoever it is, no matter. If they're taking our money, our tax dollars for any purpose, they should be able to, every one of us should be able to get on some database and say, in the state of whatever state we're in, this person borrowed $10 million to build a bridge, blah, 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 and be able to go on there and see all the shit that they bought to build that bridge. Where'd the money go? What company did they pay to do this? What company did they pay to do that? Why can't we do that? You know, it's got to be able to be more transparent so that we know where the money's going. So I would love to see it, you know, somehow doing it somehow like that, to where we, the people, can actually see where the money's going. But I don't know if they'll ever come up with something like that. Okay, here's another story that I thought was interesting. It says treason unraveling in real time. So I don't know, but this is what if the uranium Hillary Clinton sold to Russia while she was Secretary of State somehow ended up in Iran's nuclear stockpile right after Obama shipped them plane loads of cash? I don't know, but that's an interesting theory. So I thought you guys might get a kick out of it. So I'm going to play this for you. Here you go.
President Trump just got on Air Force One for a quick trip to Arizona for an event that we'll see later on today. He didn't take any questions, but he just told CBS News. He basically explained why it is that he is so confident a deal is about to be closed with the Iranians. He says that they have agreed to let United States, not troops, just somebody from the United States, go in to Iran with some Iranian officials to collect leftover uranium, what he calls the nuclear dust, and then bring it back somewhere to the United States. That has been the key to all of this. The president earlier today disputed a report in Axios that the U.S. might unfreeze $20 billion in Iranian money in exchange for getting them to fork over all this uranium. He says not a dollar will be exchanged in any way. So we will definitely hear more about this once he gets to Arizona, but there's a lot happening, and it is possible that he doesn't want to get ahead of his team who are talking directly to Tehran. President Trump just got on Air Force One for
So see, if we can hear it from the reporters, and when he said that there's people saying that the money is going to be let go and they're going to be able to take it and do whatever they want with it, he said no, that Trump is not going to let them have a dime until he knows that they've followed through with things that they said they would do. And I believe Trump would do that. He's a master troll. You know, he's not, when he expects something, he expects it, you know, or you're fired, you know, that type of thing. But I do believe him. I believe that he's not going to just hand over pallets of cash in the middle of the night, that he expects something for it, because it makes him look bad when he doesn't follow through, and he's going to expect them to follow through. So I do feel pretty comfortable about it. What do you think about that? Did you know about that?
No.
Okay, so, well, I just wanted to share that. I thought that was real good. But this next one is pretty interesting because I've seen Catherine in many shows. She's done tons and tons of in-depth shows going behind the scenes and stuff. Well, she's saying that she's testifying that CBS News locked her out of the building and seized all her files, and says she was working with sources to expose government corruption. Have you heard this story?
Yeah, this is old story.
It's old. I've never heard of it that I've seen, but I wanted to play this. I wanted to play this because I'd never heard of it, and there must be other people who have never heard of it like me. So I thought it was important. But it's nice to see in a reporter, because I've been bitching about reporters, an actual reporter that actually cares about corruption and is testifying because she feels that what they did was wrong. And that's good. I wish more of them would do this.
In February, I was held in contempt of court for refusing to disclose my confidential sources on a national security story. I think my current situation can help put the importance of the Press Act into context. One of our children recently asked me if I would go to jail, if we would lose our house, and if we would lose our family savings to protect my reporting sources. I wanted to answer that in this United States, where we say we value democracy and the role of a vibrant and free press, that it was impossible, but I could not offer that assurance. The Bipartisan Press Act, which came out of this House committee, would put an end to the sort of legal jeopardy that I have experienced firsthand in the federal courts. And without the legislation, more journalists will run the uncertainty of the contempt gauntlet in the future. This legislation will provide protections for every working journalist in the United States, now and for the next generation. The legislation provides strong protections at the federal level for reporters and their sources. It would block litigants and federal government from prying into a reporter's files, except when there's an imminent threat of violence, including terrorism and in defamation cases. At the state level, similar rules are already in place to protect press freedom. It is my sincere hope that the passage of the Press Act will provide similar protections at the federal level. I hope that I am the last journalist who has to spend 2 years in the federal courts fighting to protect my confidential sources. My current situation arises from a Privacy Act lawsuit. I am only a witness in the case. It is not common for these cases to reach the stage of holding a reporter in contempt, but when such cases happen, they have profound consequences, impacting every journalist in the United States. Forcing a reporter to disclose confidential sources would have a crippling effect on investigative journalism, because without reliable assurances of confidentiality, sources will not come forward. The First Amendment provides protections for the press because an informed electorate is at the foundation of our democracy. If confidential sources are not protected, I fear investigative journalism is dead. Each day, I feel the weight of that responsibility. As you know, I was held in contempt of court for upholding the basic journalistic principle of maintaining the pledge of confidentiality to my sources. I have complete respect for the federal court and the judicial process, and I'm not here to litigate the case. It will play out before the appellate court in Washington, D.C. But the fact that I have been fighting in the courts for 2 years and that I am now facing potentially crippling fines of $800 a day to protect my reporting sources underscores the vital importance of the Press Act. When you go through major life events, as I have in recent weeks, losing your job, losing your company health insurance, having your reporting files seized by your former employer, and being held in contempt of court gives you clarity. The First Amendment, the protection of confidential sources, and a free press are my guiding principles. They are my North Star. When I was laid off in February, an incident reinforced in my mind the importance of protecting confidential sources. CBS News locked me out of the building and seized hundreds of pages of my reporting files, including confidential source information. Multiple sources said they were concerned that by working with me to expose government corruption and misconduct, they would be identified and exposed. I pushed back, and with the public support of my union, SAG-AFTRA, the records were returned. CBS News' decision to seize my reporting records crossed a red line that I believe should never be crossed again by any media organization in the future. The litigation and being held in contempt have taken a toll on me and my career. This is not a battle you can fight alone. I am grateful for the support of fellow journalists and multiple First Amendment organizations, including the Reporters Committee for Press Freedom, the Freedom of the Press Foundation, the Coalition for Women in Journalism, the Knight First Amendment Institute, the Society of Professional Journalists, as well as the Columbia Journalism School, of which I am a graduate. I have also been fortunate to have the support from my former employer as I continue to fight this case. Not many journalists could count on a former employer, in this case Fox News, to support a costly and vigorous defense of the First Amendment. That is why the Press Act comes at the right time, when independent journalism and news platforms are expanding opportunities for reporting diverse voices that strengthen our democracy. I know I join many journalists who are encouraged by the recent comments of the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who said he hopes to have the legislation through the Senate and on the president's desk this year. I deeply appreciate the committee's commitment to this legislation and holding this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harridge. Ms. Kaufman.
Well, I agree with what she's saying. I just wish that it worked both ways, that if she was going to fight so hard to keep her sources private, which is important because you have people like, the whistleblowers for the Epstein trials and things like that, to protect the people that are coming forward. And I think that's important, no matter what level it comes from, for like a gang violence or rapes, or a hospital that's hurting patients, any of these things. I think it's important that we protect the rights of those people being able to come forward and tell someone like her that might want to expose it and help us get to the bottom of things. I think that's important. And I hope that things like that always rise to the top, and they're not able to bully someone into forcing them to give them up, because if they know that they're going to be bullied, then no one will come forward, just like she said. And she's right. And we're one of the only countries in the world that have these rights. So many countries now, you say something on Facebook and the next thing you know, the police are at your house because you called somebody a name or something. Or like that young man that was in an argument with a person of an opposite race of them, and he is white, and he goes, he stabbed me, and they just laughed at him and put handcuffs on him, and he died, even though he was bleeding internally, because he did die from being stabbed. So it's sad because they're getting so one-sided instead of listening to both sides like we're supposed to be fair. And it's pathetic that we've come that far to where people are starting to die and stuff simply because they're afraid to make a comment or say something because it might make them look bad, or they might get pointed out of the crowd or whatever. It's really pathetic. But this right here really is scary, and everybody.
What's this road sign?
It won't let me pause it. I hate that. But this is about. I have to keep pushing on this or play. A highway police officer pulls over a truck driver hauling chemicals who can't even read or speak English. So I want to play it for you.
What's this road sign? What? School what? Here's a citation for not being able to answer road signs, okay? It's for a non-English speaking driver, and it is out of service. You're not able to drive that vehicle. Hello, I'm Officer Lewis. Highway Police pulling you in for a safety inspection. Are you by yourself? There's nobody else with you? No. Okay, all right, let's get your ELD. Transfer your logs. Your ELD. All right, go ahead and gather up your truck paperwork, your trailer registration, and your bills for the load. Okay, is that all your truck paperwork? Yeah. Okay, all right, bring that with you, okay? Yep. Is your trailer in here? Trailer registration? Is in there? Everything. Okay, all right. Let me do it? Yeah, let me get some numbers real quick off the truck, and then we'll go inside. You have your driver's license? Where did you start?
Start in Michigan.
You started in Michigan this morning.
Not the morning.
Okay, where did you start this morning?
Oh. Stopping called Love.
Okay.
Diesel.
What's the commodity?
Inside the
Yeah, what's inside the trailer?
It's chemical.
Chemicals? What kind of chemicals?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever had a DOT inspection before?
This is my first trip about this company.
So this is your first trip with this company? Okay. How long have you been with this company? Like how many days? So you've been with the company for 2 days? Okay. How long have you lived in Michigan?
Me?
Yeah. 12 years. How many hours have you been driving since you woke up? You said 8, 9, but on here it's 3. 1, 2, 3. What day did you pick up your load? About what time?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know what time you picked it up? Because I'm not showing you were even in Michigan yesterday. What's this road sign?
No. No turn.
No turn what?
Some street, no turn this way.
Okay. What's this road sign?
Just walk. School.
School what?
Some people walking.
People walking? Here's a citation for not being able to answer road signs, okay? It's for a non-English speaking driver, and that is out of service. You're not able to drive that vehicle.
Pretty scary about it. The fact that somebody can be driving a truck on our streets and live in our country for 12 years, but he still can't read and he can barely speak English because they don't come here to integrate. They come here to do whatever they want, and they don't make any effort to have to fit in because they're given whatever they need.
But you have to remember something too. The people that the trucking company who hired them pays them less than somebody who is competent too. So they're trying to save money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. And that company should be in trouble for hiring them, knowing that these people can't do the job safely, and putting you and me.
They don't care. It's a money thing.
It's danger. Yeah,
it's a money thing because again, if something happens, they have us assessed value if there's an accident, so they're playing the odds. So if they get sued, they have the fund to pay them off. So it's like it's a trap shoot. So just be careful when driving out there.
Yeah, it's really, really, really scary.
Drive defensively.
Yeah, but okay. So here's the next thing that I found. I thought was pretty interesting. My dog will not stop barking. Okay, it says, let me see real quick. There's a video down at the bottom. Yeah, okay, let's do this.
Individuals in Kansas and California that you found, and they were providing material support to ISIS. And the details are quite something. One said it was sick if his name was on a drone that would kill American service members. Another person said they always wanted to kill a female soldier by beheading. I wish I could kill 300 million Americans. These are bad guys, and now they're indicted.
Yes, this is a very disturbing case. You have young men, they're in their 20s, completely indoctrinated by terrorism and by terrorists, and actually spending money to actually follow through on these attacks. Like you just said, one wanted their name written on a drone to kill Americans. One fantasized about killing a female soldier by beheading her. And look, another great example of hardworking FBI agents and our federal prosecutors in California and Kansas and working together. And I'm glad we were able to interject here and stop these men. But it's a good reminder to the Americans that this fight is not over. There are still a lot of people that want to inject harm into this country and our citizens.
No doubt about it. And bringing it domestic.
Yeah, this I'm copying right now to paste this in the chat. It says the FBI bust ISIS. It won't let me put it in YouTube, so I'm sorry, you guys, I can't do it. It won't let me. It says FBI bust ISIS terror cell on American soil. 3 U.S. citizens plotted RPG and drone attacks on our troops. Now, maybe to just let me share just the link, not the what it says. I'll try it one more time. Just the link itself with nothing above it. Yeah, okay. It let me share this because there's no words on there that say bad things that they don't agree with. But that's basically, that will take you to the thing that with all the other information that's on there. Let me show you. Let me go back over here, make this small. But see, if you go up, you can read all of this. And this is what I was trying to share, was the top of this, you know, some of the information about who it was that they stopped. Because we don't get to hear this good news very often about them being able to intersect a group of people that want to do damage to Americans on American soil, like what happened on 9/11 or any other time attacks like that in their name of whatever country they're from, before it happens, to be able to stop it and arrest these people because they have all the evidence that they need that they were planning on doing this terrorist attack. And I think it's great. It's just that you don't hear it. You know, we don't hear enough about the things that didn't happen because we have decent people trying to stop this stuff. And I'm sorry that I couldn't share the whole thing the way I wanted it, but it's YouTube. I'm going to take a picture of that real quick so you guys can see it. I'm going to put it in my Discord to prove that there's so many things that we are not allowed to do when you have companies like Google and YouTube that don't agree with the way we look at things. So it's sad, but that's the truth. That's the way it is. But I wanted to share it with you guys because I try to share all of these links because I think it's important that we are able to look things up ourselves, research things ourselves. And the only way to do that is by me sharing the information I'm sharing right here. Instead of you having to come back and fast forward through it and read it or whatever and get the stuff off, it's already in the chat. You copy and paste it and do it later at your convenience. But not all of us can do that. It doesn't seem like, that's just the way it is. And until if I was sharing this on Kick, it would have went through. But the fact that it wouldn't even let me share it, I probably could share it on my Rumble. If I open my Rumble up on my computer, I could have shared it on there. I'm sure they would have let me share it. But okay, here is another thing because I played Gil earlier. I'm going to play this other one of him really quick. I think it's Brandon Gill. I'm going to play this video from him. So hold on. Gosh, that dog will not stop barking.
We didn't have to deal with Islamic terrorist attacks in the U.S. 50 years ago. So why are we dealing with this now? Why is there sort of an upsurge in anti-Semitism and pro-Islamic sentiment and terrorist attacks in the U.S.? And it's because we've imported these people into our country. That's just a reality. And really in just the past couple of decades, that's why we're dealing with this. And that policy to bring large-scale Islamic immigration into American communities is something that Washington did. I mean, we allowed this to happen as a result of our immigration policy. We didn't have to deal with Islamic terrorist attacks in the U.S. 50 years ago. So why are we dealing with this now? Why is there sort of an upsurge in anti-Semitism and pro-Islamic sentiment and terrorist attacks?
Sorry, I was posting something in the chat, so I let it go by again. But he's right, and it's nice to see fresh faces like his that has a good head on his shoulders, and he actually seems like he cares. What he says is equal with a lot of people that I know about what's important about keeping our country free and where all of us have our own points of view. That's one thing that's so great about our country is the fact that we have so many different religions here, so many different cultures here. All the different states is almost like going from one country to another because you can go one place and have, great Hispanic food. You can go to another one and you can get Asian food, or you can go to another one and get Southern home fried cooking, and different cultures because of the people that have moved from other places and settled somewhere. And they're 2 or 3, 4 generations later, and they've established something and they're growing. Their families there, and they're passing on what they brought from their homeland, whatever. But they're Americans now. They love this country. They love being free, but they want to share what they have in their culture, with others in America, and other, cultures are doing the same thing. And that's basically what sets us apart from other countries. The fact that we have the freedom to let you express your beliefs, what you believe in when it comes to like clothing styles, the way that you preach or you pray, who you preach or pray to, whether you want to be a Wiccan or a Baptist or a Jewish person that goes to synagogue, whatever it is that you have. In our country of America, you have the right to do those things. As long as it's not infringing on other people's rights, you have the right to do that. As long as it's not hurting children or other people, because we don't agree with murder. We don't agree with lots of different things like that. But we have to uphold the law, because if you do those things, then you should be punished for it. If we have the evidence and we give you a trial with a jury of your peers, other people from the area that you're in, I just think it's a phenomenal country that we've grown. But we have had so many people that have come here just to harm us, to take away our freedoms and try to turn us into whatever country they left, and we can't let them do that. Because I want to stay free, and I want my grandchildren to be able to be free, or my great-grandchildren, maybe, 3 generations from now, to have the same rights that I have. But if I don't stand up today and fight for what I think is right and that I see being taken from us, then what am I leaving for them? What kind of legacy are we leaving to our grandchildren and their grandchildren if we don't stand up and fight for what we do have? Because as of today, we still have the best country in the world, even with all this corruption that we're finding. But the fact that we're finding it proves that we're free. Okay. And to me, I really do believe that. The fact that we have new people that we just elected in that are bringing in their own people, and they're digging around and they're saying, man, look at all this money that's coming in, or millions and millions or trillions of dollars into this one state, and nobody can account for it. Where did it all go? And then they start digging around and finding out that this guy took this much, and this person took this, and people, they're sending money to that country, and they're doing all this stuff, everything they're not supposed to do with the money, because they said they were going to do this with it, that type of thing. And even if we can't get all the money back, we can only get some of the money back, like they're confiscating cars and jewelry and guns and yachts and RVs and bank accounts, and all this different stuff. So we are getting some back. But what you and I, from what I'm listening to everyone saying, we want to see people go to prison. Because if you did it, if you went to your neighbor and you stole from them and you took hundreds of thousands of dollars from their bank account or whatever, you would be in prison for it. After you went to trial, you would go to prison if they had the evidence to prove that you did it. So why are those people that are, in office, or governors or senators or, state representatives or whatever, why are they able to just walk away when you and I would be in jail? See, that's why we have to keep speaking up, because we have to make sure these people are held accountable. And we do have people like this gentleman right here and others like him that are trying to do that. And if we don't back them, then are we any better? You see what I mean? I don't think so. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not getting paid. I don't get paid to do this. And, that's the way it is. And most of them, where I say this stuff, they don't like what I have to say. So, which is fine, because if you don't like it, change the channel. That's what's so great about this kind of stuff. If you don't like what someone's saying, go to the next channel, because I'm guaranteed that sooner or later you're going to find something you want to hear, that you want to, that will entertain you in some aspect. But that's because we live in America too, because there's a lot of countries that can't even do this, that can't even get online and share stuff that they have with other people. So I'm thankful that I live here. I really, really am. But I'm sorry I went on a rant, but I can't help it. I get very passionate about it, because I don't want to see us lose these choices that we have as of today, simply because some ding dong down the road got voted as a governor, and they just go, "This is what I want. This is what we're going to do, and I want all those people arrested," or whatever. Make up charges, whatever you have to do. And I think it's disgusting. So if we don't fight for what we believe in, who's gonna fight for us? As far as I can tell, nobody. So here we go. Let me get this next thing. I only got a couple more things left, but most of these are little stories like the one I just shared. Okay, here's another one with Kash Patel. He's talking about the $3 million or 3 million pedophile accounts that they, and you know how I am about the kids and stuff. So to see these people in this administration, and he did it in his first administration, he's doing it more in this one, I love, because that's one of the things I personally voted for him for, because this is the kind of stuff is important to me. This kind of stuff's happened in my own family. Not with me, but with one of my nieces. And I want to see these people punished. I really do. So every time I see this, I'm happy, because even though these kids are going to need therapy and things like that, they're home, they're safe again. They're away from the people. And I want to see those people, put to death, or whatever the punishment is going to be for them, period. I 100% agree with it. Here we go.
Well, Kaylee, as you know so well, and as you advocate so much for our youth, they're our most precious treasure. And we made it a priority to go after the villains and the terrorists and gangbangers that are targeting our kids. And what we did was we utilized intelligence-driven operations. We took 1,500 employees from the FBI in D.C. and put them in the field permanently, working with our state and local law enforcement partners. And we went after the worst of the worst. And those stats, while those stats are meaningful, and those stats are truly historic, just think about the 7,200 kids that we found that got to go home. Just think about the 3,400. Actually, when you take the numbers for this year, we're at 3,400 child predators and traffickers arrested. That's up 99% from the best year Biden ever had. That means kids are being protected at levels that are simply unheard of. And that means this FBI, here's another thing. We didn't just do the physical work on the streets. We went to the cyber community and we dismantled 3 million pedophile accounts off the Tor network, where these predators prey on our children and think they can hide from this FBI. They can't. We are going to the ends of the earth and the cyber realm to make sure our most precious commodity, kids, are safeguarded. And the numbers speak for themselves, because the FBI are putting kids first.
Yeah, I call them our diamonds. That's what they are. And I want to ask you about this. There was a hostage situation, actually 2 this week.
That is awesome. Every time that we're able to save kids and capture these people and confiscate all the nasty, disgusting stuff that they're sharing with other people online, and that also has tentacles on it that goes out and captures other people that are involved. So it's a huge chain of disgusting stuff, and it's just nice to when I get to see that actual people are actually being arrested, and that stuff's being taken off the web and out of their homes or wherever it is that they have. But this was something I wanted to share, because James Woods has been very, very opinionated about this kind of stuff. And this is the young man that knifed someone at a track meet. And he died. The other man died. And I think he just got prison time for like 30 something years, something like that, because I really didn't pay a lot of attention to the actual trial. I just remember them talking about, because the young man that was stabbed was at a track meet and he had a twin brother. But what I started paying more attention to afterward was the fact that this young man here, his family, has been able to do a GoFundMe and raise this much money. Look how much money that he's raising for his defense. But should that be legal? Should a person, especially once they've been convicted of a crime and they're being convicted and they're going to be in prison, should they be allowed to use their whatever means they have to raise money for themselves? You know, I've talked many times on some of the shows about like Ted Bundy and some of these other killers. The guy that killed his, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name right there. It's Chris Watts, I think is his name. He killed both his little daughters and he put their little bodies in a oil tanks and he crammed them down in a hole that was 8 inches around. He stomped on top of their little heads to get them down in there. It was really terrible, horrible, horrible crime. But he gets lingerie and love letters and money and all kinds of stuff from sick women all the time. Sick psychopath women that think they something about him sexy, about him murdering his whole family, his pregnant wife and his 2 kids for another woman because he was having an affair. It's disgusting. And it's just a vicious cycle because if you're interested in a man that murders people, his whole family, and then you need therapy. There's something wrong with you if you think something about that is attractive in first place. And the fact that he shouldn't even be able to get that stuff, you know. I don't know. I just think it's disgusting. But the fact that these people can raise money for themselves, I hope that they're not able to. I don't know. I haven't heard nothing about it. But when I saw this come across my timeline, it just says convicted murderers can't enjoy financial gain from books or other scams by law. They should make this grift a mandatory refund situation as well. If they don't have the cash anymore, kick the freeloaders out of the mansion they bought and put it on the market. Because see, he bought a house. Not him, he was a teenager, but his family bought a house to live in with the money they raised for this guy's supposed court case or whatever. And he's trying to say that the money they're trying to raise more money. It's because they can't afford to live in the house that they bought. Because, you know, when you buy a huge home, and the taxes go up, because you got a bigger house, depending on where your house is, the taxes might be, 10 times more because of where you live. Just like I said a couple months ago, I was talking about when I went to Florida and I was driving to the Keys because I just wanted to see as much as I could because I lived in Orlando when I was a little kid. It was an Air Force base there. And I wanted to see more. So while we were down there, we drove around, a bunch of us, just to see things that she was showing us around and stuff. It was really cool. But she took me to a trailer park. It had actual trailers that were double wides and they had fancy yards and they were really pretty, the prettiest trailers I've ever seen. But the lots they were on were worth $1 million a piece, a lot. So these were $1 million trailers. I was just shocked. But the thing is, it's because the land that these trailers are on is worth so much money that the value of the property is why they have to pay so much in taxes and stuff. And that's the same thing that's happened with this. There used to be a show where people would write in that my mom has done this for me and she was a great person, blah, 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 but she can't afford and her house is falling apart. And they would come in and rebuild their house, make it really fancy, put extra rooms or bathrooms and stuff in it. Well, a lot of those people lost their homes afterward because once they did all that updating to it and stuff, the property value went up, right? And they couldn't afford the taxes on it. So it's sad to say that, but that's the way it is. I mean, that's the way our country is set up, and especially depending on what state you live in. Some states have no personal property tax, and other ones do. But if you choose to live there, you should know that if I build onto my house or put in a pool and do all this stuff, it's going to be more expensive to pay the taxes every year. Can I afford it? So, or put money aside, because I have a sister that does nails and hair and stuff, and she puts money aside and she tries to pay her taxes every quarter. So it's not one huge lump sum at the end. So she can afford to make sure everything's taken care of like it's supposed to. So, and that's part of becoming a owner, buying a car or an RV or a boat or any of these things. Before you buy it, know what you're going to be shelling out year after year for the taxes and whatever else, a rental place to store it, whatever it is you need to have. Those are all things that I think are very important. And apparently a lot of people don't have a clue. You know, they don't, either they don't pay attention, they don't care, or they just don't, you know, aren't very smart or something. I don't know. I don't think I'm very smart, but I understand this a little bit. But, you know, I think it's sad, especially the victims' families, seeing these people raking in money day after day after day when they're struggling to pay their bills, and they just went to court, you know, also. So I don't know. It's interesting, I think. So I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see whether anything changes. And maybe to be a state thing where they do it in different states, you know, say you can't do this or that in some state, but in other states will let them, you know. So just like in California, they don't have the death penalty anymore. So a lot of people will go there, especially if they're, you know, serial killers or whatever, and do their stuff because they know that even if they get caught, they won't be put to death. So, you know, I hate to say that and use that as part of it, but you know, I hate to say, but that's basically a fact. All right. Well, I got one more. I think it's one more story, one or two. Let me look real quick. Okay. Yeah. Here, I'll just bring them up in order from that they're up here. Let's see what this one is. Okay. This one, let me pause it. Thank goodness. Christopher Wray they're saying Christopher Wray was running a terrorist organization when he was in there. So against Trump, basically. So I'm going to open this up so you can hear it. Here we go.
Wow, actually, that's actually what he wrote on social media. A story we broke here this morning on Just the News. The Biden era FBI, the one that Chris Wray oversaw, made more than $150,000 in payments to informants who were members of an anonymous group of tech sleuths known as the Sedition Hunters to gather and analyze video evidence in the January 6th Capitol riot and then that controversial Arctic frost probe. Now, they made these payments and they treated members of this group as confidential human sources, despite the fact that the group was extraordinarily anti-Trump, had a strong anti-Trump fervor, anti-Republican fervor, and that it had known ties to foreigners. This is all according to FBI memos that Just the News obtained and reviewed. Now, government officials said the group members were first engaged as early as a few days after the Capitol riot as informants, and that the relationship continued over 3 years. It involved about $150,000 of payments. One of those payments was approved by Jack Smith, the former special prosecutor who pursued Donald Trump, and tomorrow will be testifying on Capitol Hill. I bet some lawmakers are going to have some questions. Now, what is most concerning about this is that Chris Wray promised he was going to reform the FBI and its informant program after Christopher Steele, a British anti-Trump spy, was brought in as an informant and helped trigger a big part of the now debunked Crossfire Hurricane Russia collusion probe. Chris Wray said, all right, we're going to make sure we don't have biased informants. We're going to make sure foreigners can't get involved. And we're also going to make sure that informants don't tell people in public that they're working for the FBI when they're supposed to keep that confidential. That's what Chris Wray did. Well, the Sedition Hunters had a clear anti-Trump bias. They were hired as informants. They had a foreign influence. In fact, the emails show that some of the work they were doing on their computers was being done in Great Britain, not in America, just like Christopher Steele was from Great Britain. And third, the Sedition Hunters bragged openly that they were working with the FBI, which would violate the terms of the contract for being a confidential human source for the FBI.
Wow. That's all of this is just piling up and piling up and piling up. And that's why I'm hoping that we can get these judges in so that we can actually start seeing some of these trials, some of these people, because I'm hoping that most of this stuff is going to be public. I think it should be public. And I think that's one reason why they're trying to make it so transparent, where they're talking about it openly like this, that when they do go to trial, that they're going to make it open up, you know, so that we can all watch as it's, you know, unfolding. But I only have one more thing, and this is the last thing I found. It's Wall Street Apes. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I've had a few of his things on here. He's talking about the Act Blue money, saying the laundering scam. It's the same thing, but it's a different group of people talking about it, because a lot of people don't realize that when Doge first started undercovering things with USAID, and then they branched out and found more and more corruption in so many different levels, and so much in just 2 states. Minnesota and California is like, it's shocking how much. I mean, when you're in the trillions of dollars, I can't even imagine what $1 trillion is. You know what I mean? Who would ever think that someone could steal $1 trillion? What do you do with $1 trillion? You know what I mean? How can you take $1 trillion and go put it in the bank? I mean, it's just, without people go, wow, where did you get $1 trillion? I mean, something. It just, to me, doesn't make any sense. It's like crazy town. But here we go.
What in the world is this, Senator?
So we have this architecture that when you buy a house, generally it goes into escrow. You have a title company that handles the escrow, and there are a number of documents that go into it. So just at a broad scale, let's imagine you buy a house. Grant Stinchfield buys a house for $200,000, and it's funded by one of the North American banks. We'll just say Wells Fargo. Please don't sue me. All the records, including the mortgage, the deed of trust, the Alta insurance policy, all of those records are recorded in the county record. Mm-hmm. Then just a few minutes later, your $200,000 house suddenly has a $200 million magic mortgage that comes through. It's nothing but a wire that goes through the title company. Mm-hmm. There's no lender involved because it's a hard money loan, what they call a cash hard money loan. Mm-hmm. But because it goes through a title company, there's no notation of who the lender is. And it goes on through the system. Now, what's interesting is, and this is what caught our attention, these are Act Blue officers, corporate officers. Wow. Once we found one, it led to another and another and another and another. So we have them all over the nation. And this is just one small fragment of the human map. You leave this digital dust, if you will. This is one small fragment.
You have all of these gigantic financial transactions. Now the question becomes, how do they funnel that back into the campaigns? Is that the small dollar donations that we see that show up at some lady's house and she's donated to Act Blue 52 times and she knows nothing about it?
Well, that's just one small aspect of it. So James O'Keefe, got to give that guy credit with the whole smurfing piece that he's done. And we got to be careful about what we're calling this. This is a research project because we're not licensed investigators. We want to make sure that people understand that this money is going into organizations that this architecture was set up by Barack Obama to spread cash around the country and to put money into political action committees, into non-government organizations, to fund candidates, to set up the whole architecture for a public relations machine, read basically propaganda machine, to promote the whole concept that we're a team, we've got great funding, it's all behind us. So here in Arizona, for example, the Arizona Democrat Party, not more than about 5 weeks ago, it replaced their chairman because their fundraising is 25% of what it was last year. Well, where did all the donors go? So what we're talking about here, Grant, is wholesale fraud, where the money is distributed by Act Blue officers. And now, because we're not federal law enforcement, we don't know exactly where it went, but that's why we've turned it over to U.S. attorneys.
And that brings me to the real news, I guess, is that you have handed this over to the Department of Justice. What has been their response of taking the evidence? We'll call it evidence because, nothing's been proven yet. I'd like to get Act Blue's response on all of this. But you turn over this evidence to DOJ. What do they say to you?
We are now engaged in conversations with a number of U.S. attorneys, former U.S. attorneys, lawyers who are not yet confirmed U.S. attorneys. So there is great interest. I've got to believe that Attorney General Pam Bondi has forwarded this out to the folks that are the financial crimes folks. And by the way, it wasn't just the AG. We also sent it to the IRS Criminal Division and to the FBI. So Director Patel also has this.
That's great. So I'm hoping that these are what I was talking about earlier when I saw that whole thing with Catherine about them confiscating all of her stuff and how she was going to pay all those fines and all that kind of stuff because she was trying to keep it confidential. The people that gave her the information that she was trying to make her story about. And that's why I think it's important, because what these people are trying to do and what that reporter was trying to do is basically the same thing. You have someone like O'Keefe who's trying to going undercover, talking to a bunch of people. I've been contacted by them to go undercover as, a girlfriend or a date, from a dating site for different people to, wear a wire or whatever, that type of thing. No, I didn't do it, but, I could have. But the thing is, somebody's got to do it. This is the only way we're going to find out a lot of this stuff. And that is the sad part, is that when you do that and then you try to, like if I was to do something like that, or you were to do something like that and you didn't want to give up your identity, so you would do it, you would go and you'd report your stuff and hand over your findings, but you wanted to stay anonymous. Okay. And that's what they don't like. Well, we want to know who it is. We got to know who it is. Why does that matter? If you have evidence and you hand it over, videotapes, or paperwork, or whatever else, why does the victim have to, or the person that was able to get it? They're not the victim. They're just a person that was able to get the information. So it just depends on the circumstances. Just like she said, whether it's a terrorist attack or depending on what the evidence is. So to me, I think it's very important that we follow this in and keep it as level as possible on both sides, so that we can have good reporters that can keep their confidence with the person that brings them the evidence, right? Because we don't want them to end up like that one young man that handed over all that stuff about Hillary Clinton when she was undercutting Bernie Sanders, right? During that whole thing. And when he found out about it, he got a hold of one of those big I think it was WikiLeaks or whatever else. And then next thing you know, he's dead. The young man died. So he was shot. So it's scary. And that's why people are afraid to come forward. Young assault victims, rape victims, people that are forced to commit a crime because their daughter has been kidnapped, or we don't know the circumstances to all of it. But what I'm saying is, when, like that one guy that had a bomb, I think it was like in the 90s, late 90s, he had a bomb strapped to himself, and then he went to a bank and he was going to rob the bank. And when he left basically empty-handed because they wouldn't do it, he was trying to get help because he said, I got a bomb and they're going to blow me up, because he didn't have any way to get the bomb off, and he was trying to do it. And then he ended up blowing up beside this vehicle because the cops had him, down on his knees, and they were trying to figure out what to do. He was put in circumstances that he had beyond his control. He couldn't do anything. But we have to have the right to be able to keep people from being exposed for their own safety. Why do you think we end up having to have the witness protection program? Because we have some really terrible, horrible people in our world. And we have to have ways to protect people that are willing to risk everything to get the facts out there, And if we don't have that for people, I don't know what we're going to do, because once that's closed off and we have nobody coming forward anymore, it's going to end up being that movie, The Purge. That's what we're going to end up turning into. If we don't have a way to protect people that are trying to do the right thing. And, I don't know what else. That's one reason why I brought that other one up, is because I was wanting to piece it together with this story right here, because I think it's important, because I don't know where we're going to be when we don't have those options anymore. And that's why I'm praying that more and more people start realizing that if we don't start fighting for our cities and our states, we might not have our state or city next month or next, in 5 years from now. It might be totally where we're all forced to live in 10-minute cities or 15-minute cities or whatever. And I hope that never happens. But that's it. That's all I had for tonight. But is there anything you would like to add for tonight? And
well, just
coming
a
up?
few things. Basically, it's on the good side. I'll share the following. Let me
Okay.
share my screen. Let me share the entire screen.
Okay.
Entire screen share. Am I
There
sharing?
we go. Mm-hmm. You see
So, can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Says, okay, Steak and Shake announced something this earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
If America beats Paraguay tonight, which they did 4-1,
Mm-hmm.
you can go to Steak and Shake tomorrow, and for 25 cents, limited one milkshake, you could get a Patriot milkshake. So anybody out there who has a steak and shake, you can get a Steak and Shake for 25 cents. And again, I actually was a couple days ago bought a hat. I couldn't find my cap, so I got a cap. I got a grocery store. I got a cap, and it was red. So I said, "It's just people think it's Trump." No, it's for the soccer, and I didn't even know. Everyone's saying soccer, go America, and I'm going, okay, I don't care. What about soccer? But what's going on is you have, and let me pull up I put the chats out there too. But you have,
Yeah, I shared
can you
your
see my screen?
link. Yeah, I can see yours. It
Can you
says
see my
World
screen?
Cup. Yes, I
Wait,
see it.
look. What?
Now it says Bucky's. Can't hear it though.
But it's out there right now. But with the one that I really liked, and I sent them all out there. The links that are out there. The one I really liked, I think it's this one here.
Well, I shared the Steak and Shake in the chat.
It was this one, I think. This little boy for the first time orders a hamburger. He's from Norwegian
Norway?
tries Norway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny.
I can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
What's funny? That's a thing because I'm sorry, we stop sharing. That's the thing. It's basically, and it's all over. You go look on Twitter and you look up, World Cup, and then you put down people reactions. They're reacting about free refills. They're reacting about Buc-ee's, reacting about the ribs, the portion sizes, how friendly people are, and all that stuff. How big everything is, and just like that first one says, yeah, because again, the World Cup is in North America this year, and it's in the Americas. So Mexico, United States, all over Canada, it's all over. So you see all these Europeans going, what the hell is going on here? Because again, it's the exact opposite of everybody says, oh yeah, American food has no culture. It does. You can get anything. And again, there was one girl in one of the videos I posted out there that she went to IHOP for the first time. And then you have chicken and waffles, you have IHOP experiences, you have Buc-ee's experiences, McDonald's, In-N-Out, ribs, and anything, hot dog, everything. And the one guy, he rented a truck. And he's like, this is amazing. This is awesome. It's a big truck. And he's like, it's like a truck that we have. But again,
because they have all the little tiny cars, the little tiny.
Right. And it shows, but it shows the fact that Americans, even Black Americans, don't appreciate what they have.
Mm-mm.
You don't appreciate what you have here in America. And that's just sad. And again, it's just weird. You couldn't hear anything
on some of the one with the little kid with the burger and stuff. You couldn't hear anything he was saying, and that's why I was thankful that it had the little thing. I was telling you I can't hear it. Yeah, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. So
okay,
but that's all right. But the thing is, you shared it in the other thing, and I shared the Steak and Shake link.
Right. So then that's then you're welcome. Go out there and go and get a shake tomorrow. Steak and Shake, 25 cents, limit one per customer. Mm-hmm. So if you have a big family, just send it one at a time.
Yeah. So anyway, go do that.
I'd rather have, something about positive things versus negative stories.
That's what I was saying earlier about how different it is in another country. Like in Norway, they eat lots of fish, they eat lots of potatoes and stuff, and getting a hamburger and stuff like what we have is very, very expensive in Norway, because very few people can afford to just go get a burger, American made hamburger. So but the thing is, we take that for granted. If you had to go somewhere else in one of these other countries and just eat fish every day, stuff like that, you wouldn't like it because we're so used to having a huge variety of different things that we're able to do, and they just don't have that. In those
you see them that you see them going to like Walmart for the first time, going, what the hell? It's crazy. So it's funny. So check it out. Just go on Twitter and look it up.
But okay, well, thank you so much. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with us tonight for a little while, and I hope I brought some things up that maybe you didn't know about or haven't heard of or whatever. But I'm going to share my email again because I forgot to do it last week for the Friday Night Shit Show. So if there's anything that comes up that you think that we should talk about or share with other people, I'd appreciate if you send it to my email so that we can share it. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. Is there anything that you'd like to tell anyone before we leave?
Right now, just check out my Substack. I'll put I should have put the link out there. Let me grab it real quick. Yeah, because for just the 1 month, I have my story I wrote. I have it's free for 1 month out there for anybody who wants to read it. It is essentially a story that I wrote last year on the passing of Irina Zaruska. And what I did, I'll put a link out here for the story and put it in the private chat so you can share that out. And paste that there. Oh, shoot. I did it again. Copy. I hate when it does that. And I put the link right here. Paste link. Oh, you fuck. I don't think it does that.
It's a shit show, remember?
It doesn't paste, paste as plain text. Okay, good. Yeah, it wouldn't pay. Yeah, I put a Substack.
Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna copy it now.
So I put it. This story I wrote last year, and when as soon as the same day that Carmelo Anthony was sent for 35 years, this guy got free. So I basically said, you know what? Here's the story again. For a month, it's free out there. Read the story. It's a gothic tale that I rewrote based upon what happened to Mary Kelly with Jack the Ripper. But the reality is, it wasn't Mary Kelly, it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was this guy that killed this lady. So it's a time travel story. But I basically try to do it that way so we can get it out there and never forget who she was. And just like you have all these Europeans over right now. She was a European immigrant, and she got murdered, and it was crazy. But anyway, good stories, good shows, and yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk to you next week, guys.
Okay, sounds great. But thank you, everyone, again. And if you want to come and see me tomorrow, I'll be playing our game, one of our games. Bruce has a game every other week. One he's writing and one that he's been playing for like 16 years. So it's almost finished. It's the same game. So if you want to stop in and say hi, I'll be live doing it. I'll probably be crocheting or who knows what while we play, because it's an all-day thing. So it takes all day. But you guys have a great weekend, and stay happy and healthy, and take care of your families. And God bless America. I'll say that. So thank you so much, and see you later. Bye, everyone.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.